Hello, everyone, and welcome to Telegram. I am Bo Fowler.
I'm Stephen Long. Welcome back, guys.
Yes, yes. How we
Well,
doing today, man? It's Stephen. What's going on down there in Texas?
oh my gosh, too much to go over in a brief amount of time. But I will tell you this: to our viewership, as you guys are piling in, I know this is a work day for a lot of you guys, and we're getting ready to go into Memorial Day weekend. If you haven't got a chance, check out yesterday's show. We actually had a really special guest. Tristan, can we throw up a picture of that book real quick? We had a Dr. Terry Lyles on yesterday, and he talked about this book, Performance Under Pressure. We went ahead and sent that on a link. If you guys haven't got a chance to check it out, go to both Bo and I's pages, and you can go to his website, read his book. It's got great content. I think, especially right now with what's going on, nationally and internationally. These are hyper stressed times, and this book kind of lays out identifications in your everyday life and paths forward. Um, so I think that's a really important resource. There's actually on his website a free PDF that we've linked as well. So be sure to check that out. Um, Bo, anything you want to add?
Absolutely, it's a must see. Phenomenal man. He's helped a lot of people in various industries, whether it was NASCAR or even NASA. It's a must see. It's good for you. It's good for your family, and it's good for the world. Um,
Absolutely, and actually
yes,
even Navy SEALs.
yes.
To interject that as well. Um, with that said, I know you guys have seen our announcements. We have a very special guest today, and we are honored to have him as our last guest. As you guys know, we've been covering Military Month. So, Bo, if you're ready, we can go ahead and introduce our guest if you'd like.
Absolutely. With no further ado, here is Mr. Taylor Canfield. He is a Navy SEAL turned NASCAR driver. Taylor, how you doing, buddy? Taylor's mic is off.
Hey Taylor, if you could just click that unmute button, we'll get started. Um,
While he's finding that, let me tell
Yesterday.
you a little bit about. There he is. Oh, he's there? No, not yet. Uh, Taylor is a Navy SEAL, like Stephen was saying earlier, and I think he probably even knows Dr. Lyles. But when he goes into his story about what he endured, I mean, it'll be just. I mean, trust me, it'll be phenomenal. And how he transitioned into NASCAR. That's actually a question I want to ask him myself. Um,
Yeah,
we're still waiting for him to unmute.
absolutely. And while you guys are coming in, I know if you haven't got a chance, go ahead and go back to our pages and watch our video from yesterday. Um, we have it actually linked out on YouTube. So we actually ran into, for the first time ever, a little bit of a technical glitch. We actually had got soft banned from Facebook, I guess, for talking about um, just the tragedy that's happened, here in Texas. But we're back. We're live streaming with you guys, and glad to be doing so. We've got some special giveaways today. Taylor, can you hear us?
I got
Taylor,
you.
can you hear us okay?
Awesome.
Good. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. Yourself, sir?
Good. We were trying to give our audience who's coming in right now a little bit of your background. However, like I've always say, you're the best representation of you. So if you don't mind, sir, give our viewing audience a little bit of your background.
Well, I was sitting here on mute, so I think I'm good to go now. But yeah, so I went into the military right out of high school. It was kind of one of those things where I enjoyed my hometown, but it was somewhere I didn't really get to stay forever. So I enlisted straight out of high school, and had the crazy ambition of trying to be a SEAL, and luckily I was would get a SEAL contract coming out of boot camp, and went straight into SEAL training at 18 years old. And it took me a little while. I broke a few bones in the process, but eventually we made it through, and so became a SEAL at the end of 2019, or I'm sorry, 2009, and I was in the SEAL teams for 10 years, and eventually I ended up getting out, and luckily able to adopt my military working dog. So while I was in the SEAL teams, I was a dog handler, and I got to adopt the dog that I had in Afghanistan. His name was Nico.
Oh, Nico. Cool looking dog right there.
Man, he's a show stealer for sure. I'm his sidekick. He's the king. But yeah, so I got out, and shortly after I got out, we went down to Puerto Rico to help with the disaster recovery after Hurricane Maria hit there, just tore that place apart. So me and the dog were actually down there doing disaster recovery and security stuff, and we ended up living there for a little over 6 months. It was pretty cool. And then did a lot of private executive protection work up in Los Angeles and Hollywood for a little while. Ended up moving to Texas, and here we reside in Texas. And now we're our newest goal is starting a NASCAR team here in Fort Worth. So how that goes, it's a long process, but we'll get there. So
Taylor, let me ask you a question, if you don't mind, Taylor. What in the world made you get off into NASCAR and go 200 miles in a circle? I mean, was it someone that said, "Hey, come in and hang out," or was it a dream of yours as maybe as a young kid or something, or what?
Yeah, so the whole NASCAR thing kind of came about because that was really me and my dad's pastime. And on Sundays we were sitting down watching a NASCAR race, and unfortunately my dad had passed just a few days before I graduated SEAL training. And so it was always kind of one of those things. And if any of you guys know anything about BUDS as a whole, the SEAL training school, the last phase of it is called third phase, and it is on an island out in the Pacific that the Navy owns, and you're not allowed to communicate back when you're on that island, right? So you're out there for 6 weeks not talking to your family, and that's I if I had to say I had a regret in life, it was probably, so there's phones out there, obviously there's communication devices, but we're not allowed to use them. So as a student, if you get caught using communication devices, you get the whole class. You don't want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that gets the whole class beat because you couldn't wait to call your mommy. And so I waited. It was kind of one of those things where we were just about 3 days before coming back, and our BUDS graduation was the day after we got, and they pulled me aside and told me my dad had an accident and that he was essentially, unfortunately, brain dead from the whole thing. So eventually he passed, but it was just kind of one of those things that I was like, man, if I would have just, I could have snuck in there at 3 or 4 a.m. when nobody was around, used the phone, called him, told him I loved him one more time. But we were both stubborn. We were both hard-headed, and I didn't get to do that. So the NASCAR thing came about because that was me and my dad thing, right? And when I had got, you don't really get a notice, I suppose, but the Navy wants to know whether you're staying in or not. And because the Navy has quotas to meet. And so they'll ask you, hey, are you staying in, or are you going, maybe a year or two before your contract is up? And I said, I really don't know yet. And this is coming up for my second enlistment at the 10-year mark. And they said, well, we got to know very soon. And so it was just kind of a long process of me sitting down and really thinking about what I wanted and where I was going. And the racing thing had always just kind of tugged at my shirt collar. And, I've raced my whole life. I've raced stuff on just, weekend amateur type stuff. And if it has wheels and an engine or just an engine, I'm not care on water either already. So it was obviously a passion of mine, and it just kind of came down to my friend in the SEAL teams encouraging me that, if it's something you want to pursue, go do it. Right. And my big holdback for racing NASCAR is it's an expensive sport. And not only is it expensive, but it takes a lot of connections that I didn't have. It took a lot of money I didn't have. And so that was always my holdup, was not knowing if I could do it because it took all that stuff. And so I was going to a bunch of different networking events because I did my undergraduate and my master's degree while I was instructor. And so I was prepared to go into the business world. And I was going through transition type programs that help you get into business. Every time I would introduce myself at these events, I really, I had my elevator pitch, but I just didn't really feel it. Right. And, so it doesn't really seem like business is your thing. What would you really do if you could do something? What would you actually do it? Well, if I could do anything, I'd go racing NASCAR. Well, why don't you go do that? Well, you guys don't understand how much money takes to race in NASCAR, and I have no professional race under my belt. I don't have anything, and a lot of the drivers that have grown up in the garage. Their dad was a racer, their grandfather was a racer. And that wasn't me. Me and my dad built Frankenstein vehicles in the garage and went and drove the wheels of those. But it just kind of came down to them saying, listen, the money, it's going to be tough, but you'll find a way. If you really want to do it, you will find a way to do it. I said, all right. I came into BUDS and SEAL training not having a single clue what I was doing. And not obviously in your head, you think you're going to make it, right? You tell yourself you're going to make it, but there's a lot of factors that come into guys not making it through SEAL training. So you never really know, but it was the same resounding phrase, I suppose, is I'll find a way. And so I committed to racing in 2017. Found a team on one of the lower circuits of NASCAR and worked with them to end up getting my NASCAR license, which funny thing is we lied on the application to get my license approved. So there just wasn't enough time in the day to the rate that I actually needed for them to approve my license. So I was lucky enough to find a loophole in the system, but hey, we're here, and
we're here.
We
right
started part-time in 2017. 2017 to 2019, we were kind of building that momentum, and then obviously COVID hit, and man, it wiped all the momentum we had, just took it right off the table. And it was a big blow, and it was tough because a lot of my sponsors were, small family companies. And when something like that happens, marketing dollars are the first that get sacrificed. Right. And I couldn't be mad. How can you be mad at that? I obviously would rather them save for a possible sponsorship later on down the line. So we lost a lot of our sponsors for those 2 still kind of going on 3 years now, where everyone's just kind of in recovery. And so with everyone being in recovery mode, it did make it extremely, extremely hard to pull new sponsors, same sponsors, more sponsors. And that's kind of when I said, I want to control the whole thing. I want to, be able to, I guess, for myself. And also I'm very passionate about veterans issues and causes. So in 2016, I started a nonprofit called Green Light Society, and we do adrenaline therapy for combat wounded veterans. So if it's, again, all the same into, if there's a combat vet that's in it, we'll take them to go do it. If it's off-road racing, on-road racing, skydiving, hunting, fishing, whatever it is, we're trying to find a way to help them do it. And especially the racing scene, right? And there's guys, gals that come back with catastrophic events, double amputees, triple amputees, stuff like that. And it is, I complain about COVID wiping out my sponsor, but really in comparison, it's nothing compared to, those heroes coming back and all of a sudden you don't need a leg or two legs in an arm, right? And that's the real tragedy that I feel. And so that's kind of my way back at this point in time, just being able to find a way to get them back into the swing of things. And if they need hand controls, in an off-road car or something like that, we work with a lot of companies and nonprofits as well that can help install, hand controls in your side-by-side, or, whatever we got to do to adapt that adrenaline sport to the veteran is kind of what we aim to do. And obviously during COVID, the nonprofit got too. It was tough. So yeah, I mean, we're here now, and it's just kind of finding our way, I suppose. There's really no pipeline for what we're trying to do. So it's reading a bunch of different manuals and picking good information from each one of them and finding it and trying to forge a new path and help some other people along the way. So.
Hey, Taylor, I'm sorry to interject over you, because you've given us quite a bit to unpack there. I mean, over over the past. No. It's not to say that. I know our viewership too. They've got questions just like we've got questions for you, and just so thankful that you can share your story. I think at the very top, one of the very first things that you had mentioned was how you actually got, I guess, inspired to pursue what you're pursuing now, through NASCAR. I mean, and your relationship with your father. First and foremost, I want to say, I'm sorry for your loss. The flag right there is actually from my father. He passed the week I graduated high school, so I can empathize with you. And you can't compare griefs, but I am truly sorry for your loss. To not only honor y'all's memory and time together, but to take it and to pursue something, like you said, that there is no pipeline for what you're doing. You're doing something completely non-traditional that I would dare say that I'm sure a lot of people were saying, don't do that. That sounds like a crazy idea, and just to hear that and to witness what's going on, unbelievable. I did have one question for you though, and I've read some of this, but I want our viewership to know, where are you from originally? And I know you said you were in the Fort Worth area now. Where are you now as well?
So, going back first, the people that tell me I shouldn't or I can't are the fuel. So, oddly enough, I need people, because that's just, the exact kind of kindling I need to get my fire and through tough times, right? Positive encouragement, obviously, family is needed, but that, the you can't do this, shouldn't do this, why this, that's all what really stokes my fire. But yeah, I grew up in Pueblo West, Colorado, so a real small blue collar town. Great people, hard work, but there's not a ton there, right? It's one of those things where it's growing, but it's never going to be a giant town. Now, the cool thing is our proper city, I suppose it's about 30 minutes east of us, is called Pueblo, which is referred to as home of the heroes in most Medal of Honor, any one city in the United States from Pueblo. So that's definitely a pride for me, is growing up in the area and knowing that person makes that happen. So, and now, yeah, we're in Fort Worth, where we want to stay. This is where we want the team to be, and move forward from.
Well, and I know that you mentioned earlier, kind of making this your home base, and you just kind of reaffirmed the idea for Fort Worth. And I know you're familiar with the Medal of Honor Museum that's coming in, to Arlington. And you had mentioned your nonprofit, and you're mentioning a lot of different things that our viewership is well aware of all the stuff that's going on right now. And if our viewership was so inclined to help your nonprofit or to support you in some sort of way, what would be the best route for them to do that, you think?
So currently, we're rebuilding the site for Greenlight Society, but we haven't, just being completely honest, we haven't taken any donations for it, just because it's been something that I was already doing, and it was a giant burden to bring right, or one or two people along. So I haven't actually opened up a donation link for it yet. In the future, I will. Obviously, we plan to grow the nonprofit into a lot of the local scene in Texas. And, we'll need support at that point. But for right now, the website just be kind of the home base for information on Greenlight Society, I suppose. So I would say once we get that rebuilt and back up, that would be the place to go to do it. I feel goofy telling everyone there's not really a way for them to help right now, but it's just
that's something that it takes time. It's Rome wasn't built in a day, and I think focusing on quality is the most important thing. The people that want to help will be there to help regardless of a site being there or not. And as a local to the DFW area, I'd like to extend my help as well. I was curious, and I know we had a question coming in just a second ago about sponsorship, and it was what is the most meaningful sponsorship that you currently have or have had in the past?
Meaningful, probably there's a few companies that I had day one, hour one of my journey saying I'm going to go race NASCAR, and there was no questions asked about putting some money towards it. So those to me are what really means. A few of them to name are Half Face Blades, Andy Arabito. He was one of those, just, hey, no questions asked. Here's what I can do right now. And his company was all right. And it's just, part of the brotherhood thing that really was impactful. And then Cliff is a clean energy drink. They were again, on board day one or one, and then obviously you see there in the picture, Black Rifle Coffee Company has been instrumental in helping move along and climb the ladder a little bit. So yeah, I mean that's just there's obviously no discounting. Every sponsor's impactful.
Yeah.
So I don't,
But like anything else, you have stuff that's specifically more. It strikes a chord a little bit more, if you will.
Yeah,
I think they understand that.
Yeah, that's what that was. Is I was still debating with myself about the idea of racing. Like, can I do it? Or I know I can do this, but how do I do it? And it was going to those guys, John T. Cliff, and Andy Arabito, and a couple of the other guys that I'm like, this is what I'm trying to do, and I have to have a sponsorship. And, really it came down to, okay, how much do you need the check to be? And I'm like, well, I have no idea. Okay, well, here's what I can do. Like, not even there's no budgeting talks. There was nothing. It's just here's what I do. Go forth. Be well, kind of thing.
A little bit different than a Frankenstein car, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a little bit different than 90% of the other sponsors.
Yeah.
But it comes down to numbers and ROI and all these metrics that they have to have. And those guys were like, I don't care about this. If this is what you want to do, this is how I can support you, and I'm going to do it. So that was, definitely.
Yeah. Hey, on a little bit of a lighter note, as a Dallas Fort Worth native, is there any particular road that you like to drive the speed limit on here?
I don't think I drive the speed limit on any road.
Right on.
Well, I wasn't going to incriminate you.
Y'all should come to Oklahoma. Our roads are starting to improve.
Well, you're welcome for that. We'll send you all the money we can.
Yeah.
Yes, we appreciate that very much.
And you know what too is Southern California, obviously where I moved from, has amazing roads, right? And this is kind of one of the things where that's close to a driver's paradise out there. And so here I've done a whole lot more on track stuff. We've got Eagles Raceway literally just right up the road in Decatur, and we've got Texas Motor Speedway that's 10 minutes north of me. Then we've got Circuit of the Americas that's a few hours south, and then there's a lot of dirt tracks up here too. So I've tried to focus my energy and speed into the track now, because the roadways were not doing me any favors.
No, I hear you. Now, Tristan actually just threw up an image of a very, very special companion that you mentioned earlier. Now, just such an accomplished, special, I would say family member. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say necessarily a companion. Maybe you have a better term to describe y'all's relationship, but can you tell us a little bit about Cairo there?
So Cairo, obviously, if you guys know the story about the Laden raid, Cairo was on the Osama bin Laden raid, and his handler, Will Chesnine, was supposed to go to this event. It's called the Animals War and Peacetime Ceremony, and it's actually in Washington, D.C., presented by Congress. So it was a really cool thing to go see. But so Cairo unfortunately had some sustained injuries before the Osama bin Laden. On a few other men, Cairo was shot, and he had some injuries that just kind of kept creeping up on him after the Osama bin Laden raid. And Will Chesney, his handler, got to adopt Cairo, and their time together was bitter short, unfortunately. Cairo ended up passing, but so he was honored by Congress with the Medal of Bravery, and this ceremony Will was supposed to go to, and he asked me and Nico to step in and receive the medal on behalf of Cairo. So it was a really humbling and honorable thing to be able to do for Will and for Cairo. And yeah, it was totally cool that he asked us to do it. And I think, I don't know if Nico had any other thoughts about it versus a normal day, but it was really cool to be, there stand-in and be in the presence of the other dogs that were also there, get distinguished service medals of bravery. So it was really cool. And if you guys don't know, Will Chesney has a book out called No Ordinary a Dog.
Okay.
And that is about Cairo and what they, went through and how it all went down. So I won't pretend to like I know their story and tell you guys that book is an amazing book by Will. So you guys have more questions.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely link a way for our viewership to get that as well, and I'd love to check that book out. On a side note as well, I saw a podcast with you and Marcus Luttrell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, and I didn't know because I know he's a Texan as well, and him and his brother Morgan as well. But I didn't know if you or after or what that relationship was like as well.
So I did Marcus and Morgan's podcast called Team Never Quit, and that was over a year ago. So I think it was 2021 that I did the podcast. Honestly, it's been a while, but I came to know Marcus after I was already out of the SEAL teams. I actually served with his brother Morgan, so we were in Afghanistan together. Morgan was a platoon commander over there, while I was in a different platoon, but we were in the same operation. I had met Morgan, never met Marcus. I got SEAL team, I met Marcus. So when I had moved to Texas, when they invited me to be on their podcast, and that was obviously it's cool to be doing a podcast with other skills and just kind of sit there and rehash the terrible memories and the terrible stuff you have to go through to get to where you're at, right? So it's always
and I don't mean for it to come across that way or to spark something, but I think it was more of a place coming from, as a Texan, and I know they're pretty local and they're doing a lot of stuff. I didn't know if you guys had. I mean, obviously you guys have a brotherhood, but I didn't know what that looked like if they came out to the NASCAR events, that sort of thing as well.
Yeah. So you guys don't know, Morgan Luttrell is now the district. So Morgan's got to play full. He still does the podcast with Marcus. Cool. Marcus has a lot of his own stuff going on, but yeah, I know they're back after I had done the podcast. What I was doing for Marcus and Morgan, an interest in, hey, how do we get involved? Like, this sounds pretty cool. I didn't know there was a steel race. Sorry, I didn't know this was going on. So yeah, we're still in contact about stuff with which is cool. Both It could, and that's kind of how it is with the split those. Even if you did work together inside the team, you went through the I did, and you can just about feel and kind of plug them into your best friend spot and get along, right off the bat. That, the experience that goes through on to whether you know,
I got you. Well, let me say this as well on that note, and I'll leave it there. It's such a small world. I was actually talking to Jimmy and Tristan about a week ago, or week 2 weeks ago, about Morgan. And so I find it so cool that you guys knew him. My family, they build tanks and service equipment, and actually Morgan works with them in a certain capacity, through his political relationships and that sort of thing. So I mean, that's just really cool to me. Just how small. It's just cool to see out in the everyday world.
Yeah.
But to Jimmy, I know because we got viewerships and stuff, and talking with you, time's been flying, and we actually do have to do some giveaways. So, Bo, do you want to go ahead and ask that first question for our viewership?
I do. And first and foremost, Taylor, man, you are just a very intriguing gentleman. And man, I'm glad that you came on. I want to ask my producer if she could throw up the picture of you and your service dog, and give our audience a second to look at this dog and check out how magnificent he is. There we go. And our trivia question today is going to be, what is the name of Taylor's service dog, the one here in the picture? So if you can get that right, the giveaway today is, and let my producer take that picture off and I'll show you. There we go. Is the Guitar Legends America Salutes You hat. Now, this is actually our last one, so you got to get this right and sport this cap around and be proud of it. The question again is, what is the name of Taylor's service dog? You answer that, this dog right here. You answer that, and this lovely hat is yours. It's only been worn once.
Absolutely. And while we're waiting on the answer for that, yeah, Taylor, I would like to keep in contact as well, because I know you said about sponsorships and stuff, and I know a couple of folks that would be very interested in helping,
Sure.
in any way that they can. So on a different note, I know our guest yesterday, Dr. Terry Lyles, they had mentioned a name. Just they were curious if you'd ever ran into this person, Admirable Ray Smith.
Yes.
Ray Smith.
I think it might have been a little bit before your time. You might have retired, but he had two sons.
Was it Ray or Reese?
I believe it's Admirable Ray Smith.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I can't say that I've ever ran into him.
Got it. Well, if you're not familiar with the doc, which I think you are, correct?
I'm familiar with the what?
Dr. Lyles, the guest that we had on yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, he had mentioned, just the stress training and stuff. Not just from SEALs, but to NASCAR, and we actually made a joke about, which I'm sure you might have seen the movie, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
And we were talking about riding with a cougar in a car. But I imagine, with your background, you've got a good hold on fear, or maybe not, but I'd be curious, what is the biggest hurdle for you mentally? Most of the viewership has gone over the speed limit very much.
Yeah, I mean, the the hurdle mentally is the motivation factor, right? And it's not a smooth paved road on your way to goals, and that's any goal. If you've got a goal to get your undergraduate, a goal to start a business, if any goal that you have is not going to be a smooth and easy road. And so it's just that everyday hurdle of making decisions that are going to put you in the best position to move forward and towards your goal. And that I'm sure, as you guys know, just get tiring. They can wear on you real quick, and it takes a lot of grit and determination to get to that goal. But and obviously Marcus and Morgan podcast really sums it up. Team never quit. That's kind of how it goes. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up on your stuff, because it's possible. And, there's a lot of people that'll say, "Hey, I don't think I could have been a SEAL. I just don't think I could have done it." And I say, "Well, you know what? I know you could have done it. It's just whether you chose to do it or not." And it's, the human body is absolutely mind-boggling as far as what it's capable of, what your brain's capable of. And, everyone's capable of hitting their goals. You just got to have that determination, discipline, to get over those daily just road bumps and potholes that, it's not going to be an easy, path, because if it's easy, everyone would do it. So
Absolutely right.
You have to choose to keep going and keep moving forward, because there's no one that wants to work for you. You have to put in the work yourself. But once you do that, your end goal is going to be so much more appreciated, that you did it. Now, I'm not saying, obviously, I can't do anything of what I've done in the past or what I'm going to go do in the future without a team, right? You got to have supportive people around you. You have to do it as a team. But again, if it's your goal, nobody's going to do that work for you. You got to do it yourself. So it's
you're absolutely right. Hey, Taylor, I got a quick question for you, because I met you the first time for the other night at the PBR inaugural down there in Arlington. What did you think about the PBR draft? What was your take on that?
I tell you what, so when Tristan had told me you guys were going to be in Arlington for the PBR draft, I legitimately, the first thing that popped into my head is, we're going to Pabst Blue Ribbon's distillery or brewery, and we're going to have a draft. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, absolutely. I'll go. And then I realized it's at, Globe Life, or right across from Globe Life Field. I'm like, oh, this is kind of, oh crap, it's the Professional Bull Riders Association, but they're doing a draft. So it was really, really cool to, I guess, learn about their newest system of, making teams inside the Bull Riders Association and drafting guys. So it's, very NFL-esque, I guess, but I thought it was super cool to be a part of the very first one ever. And I was telling Tristan while we were sitting there, I said, it may not be now, but you'll look back in 10 years when the draft is the thing to be at. It's what everyone's watching on TV, and we'll be like, oh yeah, we sat in a bar and watched the very first one happen.
That's right
behind the bartender server. So I was like, that's right. Pretty cool. So
that is awesome. Well, I know I know we've got a video that we're going to throw up here in just a second. And to our viewership, I know you guys are still in your work day. You're bouncing in and out. We're going to announce the winner of the prize later on, as well as our second additional question. But before we start the video, I know we're coming up on our hour mark, so we're going to have to cut the show here shortly. But Taylor, is there anything that you wanted to say to our audience while you've got the floor? Any specific thing? before we throw this clip up?
Appreciate you guys' support. Please keep supporting veterans causes. We, it's just one of those things where, the veteran community, and I'm not discounting our law enforcement. I love our law enforcement. They need the same kind of help, but my knowledge and my ability was in the veteran space. So I particularly don't care which veteran cause you support, as long as it goes to a good need. Please continue to support veterans cause. Help us, end the suicide epidemic that goes on, and that's the biggest tragedy, in and of itself is the suicide rate. So we appreciate you guys' support in anything you guys are doing. If if you're low on cash, volunteer your time. If you don't have time, spread the word. That's kind of how it goes, is everyone can do something. So we appreciate you guys' support. Truly grateful to have an America worth fighting for, and I think I can firmly speak for all the veterans and say that everyone in this country is worth fighting for, and whatever injuries and whatever was sustained coming out of that, it was worth it, because we do live in the greatest country on the face. So, and that's because of the people that are in.
Yes, we do, and we want to thank our veterans, our first responders, everybody for their service. I know you talked about specifically veterans, and they, it goes beyond Military Month for us. So, into our viewership, we challenge you guys as well to do just what Taylor said. And Taylor, thank you for your service.
Yes, Taylor, thank you.
Thank you for the sacrifices that you've made as well, and paving a path to actually have a platform to speak on issues like this. And we just appreciate you, and we're honored to have you during this time. And I know it's Memorial Day weekend. Maybe you've got some specific plans or ideas of maybe how we can honor those.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, the community of nonprofits that support veterans causes is just absolutely vast. Pick something that you guys, is close and near dear to your heart. Obviously, another big nonprofit that I support is called Warrior Dog Foundation, and they were the ones who actually brought Nico out of the service and held him at the dog ranch and helped him transition into just being a civilian dog. So they do great work by helping keep our work kinds in a absolutely fantastic facility while they're waiting to be adopted, and they need help. So, but beyond that, if family member, grandfather, somebody, if there was a cause that was special to your family, I can almost guarantee that there's a nonprofit organization within the veteran space that helps veterans in. So, take some time, do some research, find something that you guys are passionate about, support. Again, if it's a money issue, donate time. If you don't have time, pass the word. And that's really what nonprofits to survive is people supporting it by passing the word, donating their time. So if you guys find something on that level, that would be my best recommendation to help support. I mean, as far as my service goes, it's honestly my pleasure. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without my service. So it really comes down. It is my pleasure, and it's the age-old saying of I'm no hero, but I had the distinct, absolute pleasure of walking to a lot of them during my service. I'm just all it comes down to.
Yeah. Jimmy, did you want to add anything? I know you look like you want to say something.
I do. Again, thank you for all your words of wisdom and everything that you have done. You're absolutely right. people, if you've got a hope or a dream, it's only going to come true if you pursue it. It's very important that we have a good time this weekend and we have a safe time, but let's at least take the time to remember who the people were that gave us that freedom to have this day.
Absolutely.
Stephen, anything?
No, I mean, you guys both hit the nail on the head. I'm not sure what else I could add, other than just highlight the points that you guys have already made, which are find the things near and dear to your heart, that honor those sacrifices and commitment that so many people have made. Light a candle, take a time, say a prayer, help a cause, spread the word, whatever it is that strikes meaning and a chord for you that goes beyond yourself, and think in terms that are bigger than yourself, because we're a community of people. We're a body, if you will.
Yes.
Just thank you guys. I mean, thank you for your time, and I know you said it's your pleasure, but honestly, it's our pleasure as well. Without further ado, I know we've got a video to throw up, and you're welcome to stick around and wave goodbye to the guests at the end. But I think it's going to be a little 8-minute segment video. So if we're ready for that, Bo, Taylor, I think we can go ahead and throw that up.
Yes.
Thank you.
The SEAL team requires you to mature quick now and on the spot. You don't have a choice. Listen, we're taking a scale of preparing for a combat mission that involves life and death. It has to be what if to the very end, and there can't be any mistakes made. And if I bring that mindset to the racetrack, it makes you that much better and ultimately puts you in front of the pack.
Sorry to interrupt.
Go for it.
No sunglasses. Is that okay?
I can try.
Is that too bright?
I think I'll be all right.
Alright.
Yeah, so grew up small town Colorado, pretty blue collar town that, a lot of hardworking people. I knew I wanted to do college, but I really wasn't prepared to do the debt part. So I knew military would pay for college at some point, and I said, hey, that's my plan. I'm just doing the military. Beyond that, I had no plan. I had a buddy who kind of randomly one day, he said, hey man, you ever thought about being a SEAL? And I said, no, I haven't. And he goes, well, you should go give it some research, and look into it. And I said, okay. Came back the next day and said that, it sounds really cool and badass, and I'm gonna try it. So that was the end of that story. But for me, the 10-year mark was either you're gonna be a career SEAL or there's something else that you're gonna go do, and you go do it. So the Navy was like, hey, we gotta know, are you staying or are you going? And I was super indecisive about it because at that point, racing wasn't a viable thing for me. I didn't have a whole ton of experience. I've raced stuff my whole life, but I've never done it professionally. And this theme kept playing in my head of now is the right time. There's never gonna be a right time, so make it right now. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go race. I'm gonna go do NASCAR.
Well, I mean, I've worked with the team for the last 3 years, and a lot of new drivers come in. His name came by, and I looked at what his past was, but it was pretty clear after about 5 or 6 laps, the guy knew what he was doing and had a talent for the wheel and the feet. And somebody said, listen, while your daddy was paying for 200 races, he was doing 200 no-fail missions. And what prepares you for this environment more? I'm not sure 200 races does. I think it's your ability to be able to manage your mind and grind it out over, you know, the race, the weeks, the months, the years. And I tell you, the guy's damn quick.
You know, just like in combat, you've got to be in control enough of your own mind to be able to dumb that down and still, you know, process and do your job. You're doing, you know, 100, 120 miles an hour in a race car. You've got your spotter talking to you, telling you who's around. You're feeling the car. You're making sure the car is doing it what you want it to do. You've got people in front, to the side, and behind you. And it's, man, there's so much stimulus that's feeding into your body at one point that, you know, if you're not prepared for that, it'll shut you down. But for me, where I find, you know, my solace is in that chaos. There are fully funded teams in every series, and you know, those teams get to run the newest equipment. They've got a full-time crew. You know, when they get practice, you know, 4 or 5 days a week. I go the entire gap in between a race where I have no contact with a seat in a car, and on top of that, we're running a car that's, you know, 13, 14 years old from way back in the day.
This big track, that's a bit of a new gig for him, but his second short track race, I mean, he was in 6th, ended up in 8th against guys that, I'm probably the nearest guy he raced again in terms of experience had 10,000 laps more than him, and he made some of them look bad.
With that happening at only my second race, there was a lot of, hey, holy cow, like, this is gonna work, like, we can do this as a team. Thank God our driver has some sort of talent, you know what I mean? And once we get the equipment and the funding secured, I think it's gonna be game over. I know it's gonna be game over. I have no doubt in my mind.
Most people, when they come into this facility, you know, you walk through the tunnel, and this big stadium opens up in front of you, and I've seen it. Most people kind of get in awe, but I'm not sure that guy's capable of getting fazed by anything.
My end game with this whole endeavor is to help bring motorsports into the recovery, the transition, the healing of the veteran community that leaves either due to injury or due to just next chapter in life kind of thing. Instead of, you know, the pills and all the psychotic stuff that happens to say, hey, you're fixed, take these pills, go home, you'll be okay, and it never works. That's what we're going to shoot for, and then we're hitting this off season hard. We're going to canvas under every single rock for sponsorship, crush the off season, and come back beginning of 2019 ready to just turn this series on its head.